Welcome to the Growth Summit. Please give a lovely round of applause to Luke Womack.
So 12 years ago, I was sitting in an office completely alone. You see, a couple days before, my first and my only employee looked at me in the eyes and he said something that I'll never forget. And I quote this verbatim. "Luke, I've hated every single day of working for you, and I'm leaving today." Ouch. So my first thought, well, what is wrong with this guy? You see, here I am, a wonderful, excellent 25-year-old leader, and this guy right here cannot figure out that he just struck the jackpot by working with me. So what do? I do what any self-adjusted, mature person does. I went home and I got mad at him. And I stewed for a little bit because I thought, I think he is actually missing what's really going on here. Like, he didn't even have his stock options yet. Like, dude, come on. Like, why did you leave, right? And so what did I do? I talked to my wife because I needed someone else to validate for me that he had actually lost his mind. So for my wife, I'm looking for solidarity. I'm looking for sympathy. And I turn to my wife and I tell her what happened, and she looks at me and she says, "Luke, you are the problem." So I called my mentor to get a second opinion. And my mentor says, "Luke, you are the problem." So now I have my mentor, my wife, and now my ex-employee all in agreement that Luke was the problem. Ouch. I couldn't deny it anymore. So fast forward to that moment. Here I am, sitting in my office. The only thing in the company at that point was me. And I realized, and finally admitted to myself, I don't know how to lead. I don't know how to grow a company. I definitely don't know how to build a team. And ultimately, I don't know what I'm doing. And the worst part is, I actually had nobody that I could tell it to. Because I was completely isolated and I was completely alone. So I bet some of you have been in your version of that office. Maybe the office wasn't empty. Maybe it was actually full. Maybe it was full of revenue that you didn't know how to grow. Maybe it was full of customers that you didn't know how to keep. Or maybe for you it was full of employees that you didn't know how to make productive. So whether the office was full or it was empty, you hit a wall. And you looked around and you tried to find that person that could tell you what to do next. And in that moment you realize, oh, that's me. Like, I'm the one who's supposed to know what to do next. And maybe, if we're being honest here, you didn't know. You didn't know what your next move was. And the person that was supposed to help you with that actually wasn't there because you were all alone. So I've come to believe that CEO is the most generous title in the English language. Like, you got a lot of CEOs in the room. And man, CEO is like, it's the thing that people call us, but ultimately, like, if we're being honest, a lot of times, like, we don't really know what to do. Like, we don't live up to that title day to day often because we're like, I'm just making this thing up as I go. If people really knew that, like, last night I was up until like 12 a.m. like writing some of the notes for Katie, like, man, the life of a founder and the business owner is rough, right? And so often, like, you don't really know what to do. And it's like this facade of like, I'm sort of just faking it till I make it. Like, equal playing field. I'm pretty sure everyone in the room is either there right now, you're gonna be there soon, or you've been there at some point in the past. And let me tell you, it's okay. So I wanna ask you to do this. And I mean everyone in the room, I wanna put your hands up. Like, this is members, this is guests, this is, like Katie mentioned, people who are like 50% sure what the arena is. I want you to put your hand up if in the last year you've hit a wall, right? Not a bump, a wall. Like I almost made the wrong hire wall, I almost didn't make payroll wall, like some type of wall, hands up. Any type of wall. Okay. Leave your hand up. Don't put it down yet. Leave it up. Look around the room. It's basically everyone. You put your hands down now. You're in the right room. Welcome to the arena. That's what it's all about. It's about getting around other people who don't have it all figured out It's about getting around other people who say, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm here to learn. This is not a room of know-it-alls. This is a room of learn-it-alls. Present company included. I just undressed myself 10 years ago. My first employee told me I sucked, right? Like, man, like that is the starting point for somebody who says, I'm ready to grow now. I don't have it all figured out. So here's what the world tells you to do when you hit that wall. The world says, wake up earlier, go to bed later, work harder, read a book, listen to a podcast, maybe listen to a podcast about how to read a book. You're like, dude, oh my gosh, like so much stuff. Like, how's that working for you? How's that working for you if you're like trying to grow the company, keep it all together, like I'm not even sleeping, like it doesn't work very well. The world actually isn't incredibly helpful for us when we're trying to grow a company. And the problem is the world tells you that revenue plateaus are an effort problem. i.e., if you just try a little bit harder, your revenue will grow. And you're like, I'm already doing that, right? I went from 8 to 6 to 4 to 2 hours a night. Like, I'm already doing that. And that's actually not working. So actually throwing more effort at your revenue growth problem isn't actually going to fix it. What it's going to cause is it's going to cause you, at the end of the day or the end of the month or the end of the year, to be much more exhausted, much more frustrated, and probably a little bit more broke, right? Like, this is what founders do. They say, gosh, I need to throw money at it. I need to hire someone to fix it. I need to spend money on new software that costs $40,000 that people only use for 6 weeks. And we usually do all those at the same time because as business owners, that's what we do. We get a little bit impatient. But if we could just back up and say, actually, I don't think this is an effort problem. Like, look around the room. Is there anybody in here who you would classify as lazy? I mean, we said the event starts at 8:30. I walk out at 8:15. Y'all are here. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lazy person in this room, full stop. So what that tells me is this cannot actually be an effort problem. Because if it was, if any of you have ever experienced a revenue plateau, then you can't look at yourself and say it's my fault, right? Because like you're already trying as hard as you can. Why do we get revenue plateaus? Why do our companies get stuck even though we're putting in 150%? And the answer is that it's actually not an effort problem. If you've ever had a revenue stall, if your company isn't growing right now as fast as you want it to, or maybe in the past you got stuck, it's not an effort problem. So what is it? I'm so glad you asked. Here's what I learned. I'm taking myself back to that moment that really begun, those were 2014, that really begun this journey of figuring out how to grow companies for the first time. What I figured out way back then, after reading every book, listening to every podcast, and listening to the podcast about how to read a book, like all those, I realized there's actually something else that will help me grow companies that isn't effort. And the crazy part is that it's like stupid simple. It's so simple. If you give me like 30 seconds, like lean in, give me 30 seconds, I will tell you what I found 12 years ago that helped me grow a company. Every single business is a water wheel. Next slide. Okay, pause, hang on, I did miss this, wait. This is a company that I grew across 10 years, called Arrow. We started at 0, got to about 2 million in revenue, incredible journey. What I don't want you to see though is the up and to the right. Right? That's great, awesome, but what I want you to see is this. That was the year I worked the hardest in my life. A lot of podcasts, a lot of 60-hour weeks, 3 different, morning wake-up routines from 3 different LinkedIn influencers, like whatever. Like I did it all in that year, and that's a year I'll never get my life back. Right? I put a lot of work in that year. But what I found, next slide, plateaus are an effort problem. We need to catch up a little bit. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. There we go, stop. Every single business is a water wheel. Every business is a water wheel, and next slide. And every water wheel needs a river. So, next slide. The water wheel, what does that represent? The water wheel represents the business, right? This is the organizational health. These are 6 systems that if you can cause all 6 of these systems to be tight and connected, the wheel is moving. The wheel is healthy. But guess what? That wheel is also in a river. And the river is you, right? You are the river. The river has 3 streams. If those streams are moving, if those currents are flowing, it causes the water wheel to spin. And when those two connect, that gives you momentum. And that gives you consistent, regular, predictable revenue growth. We call that at the arena executive flow. And executive flow is what I spent the last 12 years of my life and my career discovering and recognizing that for the most part, you can actually control revenue growth. We don't have to blame the economy. We don't have to blame macro issues, right? Yes, do those things happen? Of course, and those things can totally demolish industries. I was just talking with Krista last night, one of our facilitators at the arena, about how she left a company. That company got just wrecked because of Doge, right? So that can happen, I get that. But that actually isn't the majority of situations. In the majority of situations, you can actually plan and even predict some measure of revenue growth for your company. And so what I want to do today is just talk about these systems. Because if something is broke in either the wheel or the river, your company is going to plateau. Your company is going to get stuck. And so the key is not try harder. The key is not put in more effort. The key is the diagnostic. If we can identify which of those 9 elements for you is broken and just solve for X, you might be 8 of 9. You might be most of the way there. But if we can just solve for that one broken system, I believe your revenue is going to begin growing again. If it's not, or if it is, it's going to grow even more, which is just fuel for the company. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to jump in first to the wheel, and I'm going to walk you through these 6 systems, and I'm going to go through them fast. And so here's what I want you to do and how I want you to listen as I'm walking through these 6. What I don't want you to do is feel the need to score yourself on every single one. What I want you to do is listen for the one that is the most painful for you. Because chances are, that is your constraint. And that is your wall. And that is the thing that is preventing your company from getting to the next stage. Why? Because the things that got you here won't get you there. And maybe the thing that was stuck a year ago or 5 years ago or whatever is not the same now. Maybe you work through that, but you don't necessarily know what is the thing that is broken now. From my experience, founders who are incredibly intelligent, business owners who really know what they're doing, are mostly terrible at identifying their number one constraint. They call it something else for years and years and years and years, when really it's something else, and maybe other people can see it and you can't, right? And I've been victim to this too. So today, I want to give you a tool and explain in very clear terms, briefly, what each of these 6 are, so you can say, in my gut, I know it's that. I've never called it that, but I know it's that. And if I can fix that, that's the thing that's going to get me unstuck. All right, let's go. So first up is focus. So focus is all about where you're going and why it matters. Focus. So Warren Buffett, one of the most successful entrepreneurs of all time, is famous for having a conversation with his pilot. Yes, he has a pilot. You don't have a pilot, I don't think. He did. Talks to Mike Flint, his pilot, and says, hey, Mike, I want you to tell me, what are your 25 goals for the next year? Mike Flint's like, He's like, give me some time. He writes them down. He literally writes down 25 goals on a piece of paper. So Warren Buffett looks at him and he says, circle the top 3. He circles them at the top. He says, Mike, what are you going to do with the other 22? And Mike says, very reasonable answer for a pilot, right? Well, I think I'll go through the top 3, I'll hit those, and then I'll hit the other 22. Warren Buffett looks at him and he says, wrong. Those 22 represent your greatest distraction for the next year. You need to ignore them. Mike's like, it's crashing the plane. This is incredible, right? One of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time. You don't even know the brands that he owns. This guy owns Geico. He owns See's Candies. He owns Northern Quilted, toilet paper brand, I think. So many brands, just a house of brands, right? And this guy understands the immense power of focus, of saying no to your number 4 goal. He says the number 4 goal is my number 1 distraction for this year. And the problem that we often have as founders is we look at all 25 and we say, I can do all of them. But guess what? The problem is you end up doing none of them. And you don't do number 1, you don't do number 2, you don't do number 3. So I'm going to give you a diagnostic question. Maybe as I'm talking about this, you're like, oh my word, that's me. If this is you, ask yourself this question. Could every single person on your team, and if it's just you, that's fine, could you name it? Could your spouse name it? Could your team of 3 or 10 or 50 or 150, whatever, could every single person on your team, without consulting you, name your number one goal for the company this quarter? If not, you don't have focus, you have good intentions. And good intentions don't grow revenue. Focus does. Let's move to the next one, strategy. Strategy is all about how you win in your market. So this is one of the two things that broke me back in 2019, 2020. You saw that revenue go down a little bit. Man, I remember like 2019, we hosted 6 events. Somewhat like this, we had events anywhere from 50 to 300 people, right? We're doing big events, and that was really our only way to generate revenue for the organization. And honestly, things were going decent. But I could tell that that model wasn't going to work anymore. There's a variety of indicators where like, yeah, this isn't going to work anymore. And so my first answer was grit. It was effort. I'm like, okay, I'm going to double down, right? We're going to do 12 events next year. Everyone's like, oh, everyone melts, like, please, no. Like, we're going to do 12 events next year. And I sat with that for a little bit, and the problem there is I actually didn't have a strategy. Like, I thought I was being entrepreneurial, like just more is better always, right? Sleep less, more effort. Like, that wasn't actually a good strategy. In fact, it wasn't a strategy at all, it was a wish. So what I needed to do is sit back, and I sat down with my director of operations, and we actually thought through our customer. We're like, okay, what's a better, more efficient way to reach our customer? And we actually decided the next year to do 0 events. Literally our only form of revenue, we killed it. We killed it. We're a $1 million organization at that point, and we killed our only revenue stream, which just sounded stupid. But we did it because the previous strategy, the thing that got us here, wouldn't get us to the next stage. And so we had to sit and think and process and figure that out. The next year we did 0 events, and over the next 3 years, we doubled our revenue because we shifted our strategy. And if we wouldn't have done that, I'm confident the company would have died. I think it would have died in 12 months because 2020 was not a good year for events. So like there's a little bit of providence there for sure. But man, we made sure we had a strategy, and that was one of the things that like literally caused the company to go down, right, before it went up again until we figured out that strategic piece. So here's a diagnostic question for you. Do you know specifically why your best customer, think of your best customer, do you know why they chose you over your competitor? If you can't answer that, you don't have a strategy, you have a guess. Next is cash. Cash is all about your command over your finances. So every founder, every business owner that I've talked with who has a cash problem, they all say the same thing. They say, ready for it? You've heard it. I'm not a numbers person. I'm not a numbers person. And so I say to them, interesting, how much do you weigh? They say, that's very rude. Why do you ask? I say, well, you don't say I'm not a numbers person when you get on the scale. You know what you weigh. Probably you got on the scale last month or maybe today, and you have an idea. So actually you are a numbers person, right? And your cash, your finances are sort of like a scale, right? But the problem is if you don't ever look at the scale, if you don't know the numbers, after a couple of months, a couple of years, bad habits, just like with, the scale, you might be a little surprised at what's in your bank account or maybe what's not in your bank account. We need to get incredibly familiar with our cash and with our numbers and know our numbers for the business, because not knowing is candidly just ignorance. And I've been there before, but it's just ignorance, and it's not going to help your company grow. In fact, I believe the number one reason that otherwise well-performing companies go out of business, they run out of money. They run out of cash. A lot of great companies who are doing well on visibly from the outside on paper fail because they're running out of cash. So here's a diagnostic question for you. When was the last time you read your profit and loss statement, also known as your P&L? If you don't know what P&L means, this is probably your number one constraint. Did you look at it last week? Last month? Never? As a business owner, you need to know your numbers. And not knowing your numbers is incredibly dangerous, and perhaps for you, that's your number one constraint. But don't fool yourself about your numbers and get blindsided. All right, next is team. Team is all about trust and alignment between the people who are doing the work. You know, there's a season in my business where I feel like nothing was really moving. You know, people were sort of showing up to the office, but, you know, it's like something was off. Like I would even walk into the office and I felt like, this isn't my team. This doesn't feel like a team. What I realized is that in that season, we had a bit of a culture problem. We had a culture problem. So what does trust mean? If you've been in the arena for any measure of time, you know that trust is probably my favorite topic. I'm not going to do like a ton of book shout outs, but probably my favorite business book of all time is The Speed of Trust by Stephen M. R. Covey. His father wrote the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Must read. It's like this big, just read the first part. I know I said no more effort, don't read more books, but like that's worth it. And I learned this from him. Trust, you probably heard that word 100 times. It's like your grandfather's advice, you know, learn to be trustworthy, trust people, whatever. Like, okay, what does that mean? Trust is confidence. If I say I trust Chris, which I do, what I'm saying is I have confidence in Chris. If there's someone else I don't trust, I distrust them. That means I don't have confidence in them like I have in Chris, but I have suspicion. The opposite of confidence is suspicion. And when I walked into my office a couple times, I felt suspicion. Right? Squinty eyes. What's Luke really up to? Why isn't he in the office? I'm like, I'm literally raising money so I can pay you. But like, there was literally suspicion toward me. There's suspicion between each other. And I had a culture problem because I took my eyes off of culture. And I had a massive team issue, and it was my fault. It was nobody's fault but mine. And I had to fix that. So if you felt that before, one of the downsides of team not working is that everything takes longer. Conversations take longer because I'm not just like trying to figure out what Chris is. I don't trust Krista for what she's saying if I'm suspicious of her. I'm trying to like figure out what's beneath that, what's Krista's real agenda. But if I trust Krista like I do, it goes fast. Krista tells me something and I believe it, it's done. Right? I don't have to like fish for what's really going on because there's a confidence level between Krista and I. Compound that across all your team members and all the pathways, right? And if trust is gone, your organization will go slow. That's why the book is called The Speed of Trust. Trust makes everything go freaking fast. And it is amazing when you're a part of that culture because everything just moves. And honestly, it's fun to be a part of. Like no one wants to be a part of a culture with high suspicion and low trust. It's the worst, it's pain, right? This is where quiet quitting came from low trust cultures. You show up and you're like, I don't want to be here, I'm in prison, but I gotta pretend. Right? That's a high suspicion, low trust culture, but man, if you could build trust, everything goes faster and it's just so much more fun. All right, here's the diagnostic question for for team rather. If your top 3 team members had to rate the trust between each other, what would the lowest score be? Think about that. If your top 3, or maybe it's your top 1 team member, had to rate the trust between them and you, or them and each other, what would the lowest score be, 1 to 10? If the score is not like an 8, a 9, or a 10, you might have a team problem. You might have a trust problem. You might have a culture problem. And culture problems create chaos. And I would argue that these are probably the hardest to fix. But man, once you fix this, things just start to work.
Question.
Send it. Jill.
So, if you've got a new team, you're putting together a brand new group, hiring some people, how long should it take to that you would expect trust to be established or not established, right? But how long should we wait to ask that question?
Love the question. Thank you, Jill. Flew out all the way from Kentucky. Grateful for you. So, Jill, trust takes time to build, and there's no shortcut to that. We all know that. And, I learned that from Maria, and you can make the trust building process go faster if you change your perspective. I'm not saying you don't have this, but for one who wants to build trust faster with a new team, and here's a perspective, you ready? By the way, I was the worst offender of this rule. I didn't do this for a while until I did. Here it is. Trust people on day 1. I would say most organizations, you have to, quote unquote, earn trust. Excuse me, what does that mean? I have to earn your trust? Like, what, for a week? Like, for a month? A year, 5 years, 10 years? Like, that's an impossible game to play. Because I don't know how long it's going to take until you trust me. So guess what I'm going to do? If I feel like I've got to earn Jill's trust, well, I don't trust Jill. And it's this impossible game where it's like you're standing at the ping pong table and like you're waiting for the other person to serve and they're just holding the ball. They're like, I'm not going to serve it. You're like, okay, whenever you're ready to play, I want to play. But like, why would we do that to our employees? On day number one, I remember saying this to my employees on day number one after a few years doing it wrong. I literally would go up to them and say, I want you to know that I trust you today. What that means is I have confidence in you today. And I would not have hired you if I didn't have confidence in you. And you're going to make mistakes. And that's okay. If you make too many of them, you can't work here. But like, you're going to make some mistakes, and that's okay. And I so trust you that I'm willing to work through those mistakes because I think you're worth investing in. Jill, you say that to all your employees on day one, week one, month one, whatever. That trust process goes way faster. And people will tell their friends about you because those friends will be like, well, my company sucks. I want to go work for Jill, right? It's a recruiting mechanism. Just telling people, I trust you, right? It's so simple, but if you mean it and you stand by it and they make a mistake and you look at them in the eyes and say, remember what we talked about? I trust you. And I just spent $5,000 on a mistake. I intend to get that money back, so you're going to stay here. Don't leave, right? That's how I do it. Let's move next to tools. Tools is all about the systems and the software that make the support the work. The systems and software that support the work. There's a specific type of business owner and founder that I'll never forget, and I've talked to this person a couple times. There's no one in the room. Don't worry, I'm not talking to someone. But it's the person who says, and they say it with pride, very proud of this, right? The whole sales process is in my head. The whole operations process is in my head. The whole fill in the blank process, like it's locked in. Fort Knox in my brain, right? Knox brain, it's in here, right? And I look at them and I say, hey, what happens if next week you get hit by a truck? They're like, rude, number one. Number two, why do you ask that question? The company will be fine. And then I respond to them, no, the company will die. The company will die with you because the company is in your brain. You haven't yet put it somewhere else where someone else can actually run the company without you. You do not have a business, you have a job. And it might pay you well, but if you die or if you leave, the company will too. Painful, but true. So here's the diagnostic for you. How many critical processes in your organization are still being run out of someone's head? Maybe yours, maybe someone else's, but like literally the only place that those live is in someone's brain. If that is true of any of your critical key processes, each of those individually represents the future failure point for your business. If they're only in someone's head, but not on paper. Next is rhythms. This is the last of the 6, rhythms. Rhythms is all about the cadence of leadership. Show me your calendar. Some of you don't have calendars. You need a calendar. That's the tools thing. Go to the see tools. See right before this. If you have a calendar, most of you probably do. Show me your calendar and I will show you your rhythms. Is your week spent firefighting, responding to urgent things, reactive mode constantly? Or are you calm, collected, proactive, problems are getting solved sort of without you? This is what rhythms are all about. The cadence of leadership, right? Weekly one-on-ones, weekly tactical meetings, ad hoc strategic meetings, quarterly strategic offsites, a quarterly state of the organization meeting in front of the team. These rhythms exist to develop a cadence in the company. And by the way, they solve problems before they're created. So if you're in a space where you feel like I'm just constantly responding, I'm constantly firefighting, maybe your phone is buzzing in your pocket right now. Bzz, 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 bzz. Like, oh my gosh, like I gotta check this because there's a fire, because I left my company and my team is bzz, 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 right? It's possible that you have a rhythms issue because you haven't developed the cadence of rhythms to solve problems before they come up, and also to reinforce the vision, right, number one, for the team over and over and over so that people are locked in. Here's a diagnostic question for rhythms. What is the most consistent meeting on your calendar, and how long have you held it without interruption? Is it sacred? No cancellations, right? We don't break this. Maybe you're married and you have date night. It's sacred. Don't cancel it, right? I literally had our keynote speaker's not here, so I can talk about him. We did a little like dinner thing last night, and I wanted him to come. I was so proud of him. He's like, not gonna go. I'm like, also rude. Why? Like, come on, like you're one of my best buds. He's like, I have a date night with my wife. I'm like, respect, right? You don't have to come, right? He's got a rhythm in his personal life. But oftentimes we don't do that in our business. And that lack of leadership cadence is one of the things that's going to actually create problems and lead to a ton more firefighting for you. So 6 systems. When the 6 systems are working, revenue compounds. You get revenue growth. And it can actually happen most years, I believe. Maybe not every year, but most years. A great target is to grow your company by 10 to 20% per year. I remember the first time I talked with Katie, like I was really fortunate because she literally had just talked to like another like business consultant, probably someone who'd never run a business before, but they went to like a really good school, so it was fine. And this person was like, Katie, you will be a multimillionaire by the end of the year. And Katie was like, smells like BS, I'm out. And then I show up and Katie and I talk, and Katie's like, probably eye rolling inside. She's like, I talked to so many of these people, I'm pretty disappointed in you all, but like I'm doing a favor for a friend, whatever. And then we talk, and then I'm like, Katie, like, you got a good model. I think we could probably do like 15% growth next year. And she's like, I'm in. She's like, I'm in, right? Like a great goal for you, grow the business by 10 to 20% per year, every year. If you grow your business by 25% per year, you double every 3. Think about that. You don't need to triple your business this year. If you are, that's great. Like, I hope you get sleep and hire some people. But like, grow your business by like 10, 20, 25% a year. Like, those are good targets for you. And if you get your wheel locked in, that's gonna be much more likely. But here's the thing. You can build this wheel perfectly. Like, you might have gone through all 6 and been like dialed out. No issues. You can build a perfect wheel, but that wheel can still sit there motionless, not moving. Why is that? How's that possible? Luke, we just talked about like building a perfect organization. Like, how can it sit there motionless? Well, because that's not the only element in the diagram, is it? What you also need is not just to have a healthy organization, but what you need is the river. You need the river, and the river is you. You are the river. And the leader brings energy into the company, just like a river brings energy into a wheel that then transfers that energy into mechanical energy to power, a house, or a mill, or electrical energy to power a house, something like that. Like, that's revenue output for you. But it doesn't start actually with the wheel. It starts with the river. So what I want to do now is just walk through these 3 elements of the river. The river represents complete leadership, and it has 3 currents: compelling vision, executive presence, and time-tested character. And we're going to walk through each. And these 3 represent the final 9, the total 9 elements that we need to be looking at to grow our organizations. Compelling vision is a dream with an invitation. So I believe that leaders of companies, business leaders, CEOs, need to be not just the CEO, which we've already talked about, is probably the most generous term in the English language, but they need to be and get ready for this because it's actually a lot easier than being a CEO, is to be the CRO. And that is not Chief Revenue Officer, that's good too, but the Chief Reminding Officer. Your job as a CEO, and I would argue your number 1 most important job, if you're leading a company today, is to be the Chief Reminding Officer. What that means is that you're constantly, and I don't mean monthly, I mean freaking daily, I mean hourly, you are reminding and reinforcing your team, your people, yourself about the vision of the company. But wait, I don't have a vision. Get one, right? That was the first thing that we talked about in the wheel. That's your focus piece, your vision, your mission, your goals. Like, get that dialed in. And then as a leader in the river, your job, your role, your function is just to remind people. Tell them about it. You might think, well, why? Why do I keep having to tell them about it? I tell my kids all the time, they must just be kids. No, they're not kids. They're humans, they're adults. You're thinking about your vision all the time. You know what they're thinking about? their kid's soccer schedule. That doesn't make them disloyal. That makes them a human. Because if you were in their seat, you'd be thinking about the same thing. It's not their company, it's yours. And so it's your job to remind them over and over and over and over until they say, stop. You're like, I'm just getting there. I'm just getting there because now I'm annoying them. And you have to annoy them with your vision because nothing else matters more than that. If you don't have it written down, write it down. If you don't talk about it, talk about it. Watch your team come alive when you do. They might actually start to believe in it. So here's the diagnostic question for you. When was the last time you said your vision out loud to your team in your own words with conviction? If you can't remember, this is probably your number one constraint. Next is executive presence. Executive presence is behavior that inspires trust. Now, this is the other thing that broke me in 2019 and 2020. Brutal, right? I mentioned I remember walking into the room and the team didn't trust me. And that actually wasn't so much a culture problem, it was a me problem. You see, executive presence is behavior that demands trust. And I wasn't behaving in a way that inspired trust. It's not that I wasn't trustworthy, I don't think. I just wasn't behaving in a way that inspired trust. Let me give you some examples. I was incredibly inconsistent. Some days I would walk into the office high as a kite, thrilled, talking about the vision. The next day I'd be mad. I'd be angry, I'd be frustrated. And what did that do? That created hesitant followers. It's like a dog that you've been kicking. The dog's like, oh, who are you going to be? Don't kick me, right? I'd never kick my employees, ever, right? But maybe emotionally I did. And they're like, gosh, Luke sucks today, right? My day is worse because of him. But yesterday he was great. Like, what is going on? Like, I wasn't behaving in a way that inspired trust because I was inconsistent. Here's another one. I was uncharitable, right? Driving to work, I would issue negative storylines about people in my brain. And I would issue positive stories about myself. That's called hypocrisy, right? And I was doing it every day. I didn't even realize it. And so I'd show up frustrated with people. Show up with a beef to start the day, 8:30 a.m. I got a beef with you, right? They're like, oh, again? Oh, gonna get kicked again. You sit down, right? Like, I was uncharitable. And I had to learn, I'm still learning this, I had to learn to flip it. I had to issue remarkably positive storylines about other people in my company because I wasn't doing that. And it started in my head driving to work. The night before as I'm thinking about these people. So the way that I did it, I actually heard this on a Craig Rochelle podcast, it completely changed my life. It's literally around that same season, 2019. And he said, you need to issue the most ridiculously generous storyline that you can about all your employees. So do it right now, issue that in your head, name all your employees, like the most generous you can find. Right? They show up late every day. It's like, well, they have 12 kids. Probably why, right? Like, they maybe shouldn't work for you if they show up late every day. You get the idea, right? Like, what's the most generous storyline? And once you get there with every employee, double it. Double that storyline. If people show up late 40 times in a row, I get it, you need to fire them. Like, fine. But like, the point is, we often have such negative storylines about our team members, right? They don't stand a chance. And we lose our trust with them. Our executive presence is so low because we're inconsistent. We're not charitable with people. At the end of the day, they're like, you kind of suck. And I don't want to work for you anymore. Great company, wheel strong, cool, congratulations. But I don't want to work for you. And that's what my employee said to me because I had a problem with executive presence. It was painful for him and I had to figure it out because it was my fault. So here's a diagnostic question. When you walk into a room, does the team breathe in? Or do they breathe out? I know it's a little cheesy, but seriously think about it. I actually saw people like physically inhale and hold their breath when I was in the room. I'm like, dude, that's bad. What if my kids did that? What if my wife did that? Like, I gotta fix that. And over time, as I started to say like, hey, I'm hot today. I'm coming in hot. I'm gonna sit in my car for 5 minutes. I'm just going to breathe, and I'm going to issue positive storylines, and I'm going to walk in, look everyone in the eye, and say, thank you for being here, thank you for being here, thank you for being here. I wouldn't be here without you. I'm grateful for you. Like, man, that energy that I brought into the room changed things, and People started to exhale a little bit. Trust started to build. Companies started to grow again. Here's a question for you. Oh, I already said it. Breathe in, breathe out. You get it. Okay. And remember this. Executive presence is not about how you feel. It's about how other people feel when you walk in the room. Remember that. Right? It's not about how you feel. It's about how other people feel when you walk in the room. If you really want to know, ask them. They'll tell you if you let them. The last one is time-tested character. Time-tested character is unimpeachable credibility. Character is one of those systems that, unlike the others, can compound in silence. Like going back to the wheel, if you have a cash problem, it's going to show up in your bank account. It's pretty easy. Right? If you have a rhythms problem, it's going to show up on your calendar. But the character problem, it can show up in silence, and you're not going to know until it's absolutely too late for you. And I've watched business owners take small shortcuts before, right? It's usually not egregious, like most people aren't committing crimes. But man, they're reporting numbers to themselves and to others a little better than maybe they are. Maybe they're promising a team member something they couldn't deliver. Maybe they're delaying the impossible conversation they need to have with their business partner, who needs to be their ex-business partner. Like, man, these are hard things. But a lot of times we take shortcuts in our leadership. And each one of these feels survivable in the moment. Well, I can make it another day like this. But the bill always comes due, and you're stuck with it. And this is the one that can ruin you the fastest. It takes 25 years to build a reputation and about 5 seconds to lose it. But it never happens in 5 seconds. It happens across the 25 years of just taking little shortcuts. Not big ones typically, just the little ones over time. So here's a diagnostic question for you. Where in your business are you tempted right now to take a shortcut? That's the place that your character is being tested. And every shortcut you take is a withdrawal on an account where you can't see the balance until it's actually too late. So we got three currents. We have vision, we have presence, and we have character. And when all three of them are flowing and they reach the wheel, that's when it gets really interesting, because things actually start to move. So here's what I learned that no one talks about. A lot of great books on organizational health, a lot of great books on leadership, but no one really talks about how they work together. These are not two separate systems. They are one system. Organizational health, complete leadership, the same. They are one system, and that system needs to be working together in order for you to consistently grow. Like when your vision, compelling vision, your vision is compelling, your strategy has a better direction, right? So the river to the wheel, right? Man, when your executive presence is steady, your rhythms are seamless, right? And when your character is unimpeachable, the team trusts you. The team is healthy, right? Those all connect. You see that connection between the two? Many founders, they try to fix the wheel without addressing the river, right? Let me just fix the organization. Let me do a reorg. Let me hire a COO. Let me buy that expensive CRM. Wheel. The problem is the organization isn't moving because they haven't worked on the leadership piece. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe, you're a leadership junkie, right? You try to fix the river without fixing the water wheel. You go to a leadership conference, you hire an expensive leadership coach, you listen to a podcast, listen to a book, but the business is broken. So you got to work on that if you want the thing to start moving again. So the work of this is both, and that is the model that we call executive flow. When you get them both moving, that's when revenue becomes more and more predictable. So here's why this matters for you. In this room today, there is probably one constraint, maybe two, that is preventing you from getting to the next level. And you might be someone who's here saying, my company's growing. Like, I'm doing great. Like, this is not for me. Let me tell you, you have a plateau in your future, and I can guarantee it. Because the things that got you here today won't get you there. I don't want that for you, but it's going to happen. And so are you going to solve for this before you get there? Or are you going to wait for the plateau and say, oh shoot, now I got to lay people off, now I got to, whatever. Like, let's fix it today. I had two issues back in 2019, 2020. One was strategy, one was executive presence. Right? I didn't even know it at the time. I had to figure it out. And once I started to fix those two, that's when the revenue started to grow again. The company doubled over the next 3 years, like literally right after that. And the cruelest joke about being a founder or a business owner is we often misdiagnose. And so here's what we're gonna do today. Before you spend another 6 months working harder on the wrong thing, we're gonna do a diagnostic for each of you right now. So literally, I want all of you to stand up. Every member, every guest, people that don't know why they're here, everyone stand up. Next slide, next slide, next slide. Couple more. Wait. Okay, keep going. Okay, back. Yeah, right there. Okay, yeah, good. Now what? Perfect, okay. I just want all 9 on the screen. Here's the rule. Stay standing, right? Don't sit down too fast. I want you to stay standing. I'm going to name all 9 elements one by one. Okay, we just went through all 9. The top 2 rows of the wheel, the bottom row is the river, right? So it's organizational health, leadership. As soon as I name the constraint that if you unlocked it, like truly unlocked it, truly worked on it, would help your business get to that next level, right? Even a future level that maybe you're not even ready for yet, but like the one thing that either is preventing you today or will prevent you tomorrow from getting to the next level. As soon as I name that, I want you to sit down. Okay, I'm just gonna go through one by one. I'm literally only gonna say the name. As soon as I name your number 1 constraint, I want you to sit down. I just learned this from Katie. You gotta say it 3 times. Internal processors. As soon as I name, I would do it. That was really good though. So got it, as soon as I name it, you sit down. So we're gonna go through them one by one, ready? Focus. Strategy. My wife just sit down? Oh no. Cash. Team. Rhythms. Tools. Compelling vision. Executive presence. Okay, good. I didn't want anyone to be standing up alone for character, so I'm glad you all sat down. You'd be like, what did he do? You know? Hope I'm not that guy stable. Man, isn't that powerful? Every single person in this room just named their number 1 constraint. Like, look around. No one's standing up. Brooke, what's your constraint?
All of them.
All of them. It's only one. Yeah. Man, you just discovered the thing that if you fix it, breaks your current or your future plateau. You just discovered it. So now the only question for you is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? And I want to make it so stinking easy for you. I want you to imagine yourself on Monday. Give me the Monday slide. One Monday. It is Thursday. I'm not even asking you to do it tomorrow. You get a day off, right? Monday. I want to take you to Monday of next week, and here's what I'm asking you to do. Just on one day, one Monday, act as if that constraint is your only problem. It's the only thing you can think about. It's the only thing you can focus on. And you dedicate the whole freaking day to that number 1 constraint. All day. And you tell your team, hey team, I'm not talking about anything else but X. Maybe you even get in front of your team and say, hey team, I went to a growth summit. I realized I have a problem with compelling vision. And I need to focus all day on getting that right. Maybe you tell your team. Just one day. If your constraint was focus, that was a good amount of you, I want you on Monday to write down on one piece of paper your number 1 most important goal for the next 90 days. Or you could write down all 25 and just circle the top 3, circle the top 1. And then numbers 4 through 25 are your greatest distraction for next year. Do that on Monday. If your constraint is strategy, I want you to write down in one sentence on Monday why your number 1 customer chose you over your competitors. Write that down. And if you don't know, if you're like, I'm drawing a blank, text 3 of your best customers. Say, why did you pick me? There's other people who did this, why'd you pick me? That right there is your strategy that you can build upon. And there was a lot of people, that's probably the most people was on strategy right there. If your constraint is cash, Open your P&L. If you don't have a P&L, hire a bookkeeper on Monday. Just raise your hand if you're a bookkeeper. There's literally 1, 2, 3, where's Austin? Is Austin here too? Yeah, Austin, 3 bookkeepers, just hire them, right? They're cool, they're in the arena, like they'll be in the back. Hire a bookkeeper and look at your P&L and don't do anything. Just look at it, study it, understand it. Google, what does this mean? No one Googles anymore. Claude, we gotta do Claude, right? No one's on ChatGPT. That's like a dumpster fire. That was so 2025. Get on Claude and like Gemini, whatever, and like explain to me what a P&L is, because I have no idea. You don't have to be embarrassed, like Claude's not gonna tell anyone. Not yet. Hey-o. If your constraint is team, have a one-on-one with your most important person on the team. Have a one-on-one with them. And ask them, what is the trust score between you and me? What is the trust score between you and someone else on the team? 1 to 10. Like, there's gonna be no punishment for this. Like, I gotta know, right? And listen to what they say. And if they give you a number that's like below an 8 out of 10, here's the magic words, ready? Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything. Just say, tell me more. They, tell me more. Like, they'll get deeper, I promise. Say it 3 times, tell me more, tell me more. If your constraint is rhythms, put one recurring rhythm on the calendar on Monday, right? Where do you start? It depends. Probably the best thing you can do is a weekly tactical meeting, right? If you need a model for that, I can give you a model for that. It's free. Just come up to me after, like, here's how you lead a meeting once a week. Or maybe it's a one-on-one with a team member. Maybe you need to do a quarterly offsite. I need to do a strategic quarterly offsite. Whatever it is, you probably know. Put one meeting on the calendar and click the button that says, make it recurring. It can't be one. It has to be a cadence. Daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, whatever. Just make sure it's annual and don't cancel it. If your constraint is tools, Monday morning, open up a blank document and write down every single process that lives only in your head or someone else's head. Don't even do anything with it yet. Just write down everything that lives in your head, all the names of the core processes. Moving to the river, if your constraint is compelling vision, there are a few of you on that one. Write down in one paragraph, in your words, where the company is going over the next year. And then pick a time and share that with your whole team. Just say it out loud. It can be messy, that's fine. Read your notes, right? Here it is. This is my compelling vision. Watch what happens. If your constraint is executive presence, write a paragraph, executive presence. Monday before your first meeting, I mentioned this earlier, sit in your car for 5 minutes. Just sit in your car. If it's virtual, sit at your desk, whatever, right? And just breathe and ask yourself, how am I showing up? And how can I show up in a way today that causes people to exhale, not inhale when I show up? Right? And center yourself before walking. I know it sounds like super like spiritual, new agey, whatever. Like, center yourself. I had to do that because I wasn't showing up centered. And it created hesitancy. Like, show up centered so people are confident in you as the leader. Executive presence. If your constraint is time-tested character, that's nobody. I'll say it anyways though. Name the shortcut you're tempted to take. Maybe that'll be your constraint in the future. Just name it. Write it down, but don't just write down the shortcut. Actually write down what it will cost you in the long run if you take it. Not the short run, the long run. Play that movie out. Not just to the good part that feels a little bit better about cheating on your taxes. Play the part out where you're in handcuffs, 15, 20 years later, because you've been cheating on your taxes for 20 years. I don't believe any of you are doing that, but you get the idea. Right? And then don't take that shortcut. Don't take it. So one Monday, one constraint, watch what happens. And most of you, I'm not exaggerating, most of you will see something move like in the short term. You will see a conversation happen that you've been probably avoiding. You'll find a number that you didn't want to look at, but you probably need to see. Or you might find yourself in future weeks like wandering and then like recentering yourself on your vision. You'll find that happening. Oh yeah, that's the vision. I need to recenter on that. Just one Monday. So here's what I know. After a decade of growing a company by 31% per year on average, and certainly not doing it perfectly, having some rough patches along the way, I have learned that founders and business owners who learn to consistently diagnose in every season their number one constraint, they have less plateaus. They have less plateaus over time. I had one across a decade. Some people have one every year, one every quarter, one every month. I hope to have less because I hope to work on these before I get there. You're human, you're gonna have plateaus. But if you can identify the constraint, you have less of them and you get out of them faster than other people who sit and get stuck for years and years and years. And I want you to imagine your business like in I don't know, 3 years. What would happen if you broke through one constraint every single quarter? Right? You might break through one and solve it, and it comes up again in a year. That's fine. Solve it again. Right? What's going to happen is your business is going to grow consistently, more consistently than it would have if you haven't. You'll solve 12 constraints across 3 years. And that's the math. Right? That's executive flow. So I'm going to close where we started. 12 years ago, I'm sitting in my office. Employee comes up to me, Luke, it was literally just me and him across the table. I've hated every single day working with you. He leaves, ... One of the most painful days of the year for me. Probably one of the most painful days of my life. But it's actually one of the best days. He gave me a great gift. I'll tell you why, because he was a friend to me. My favorite definition of a friend is someone who says hard things to your face and great things behind your back. And that day, he said a hard thing to my face. And I'm literally talking about it 12 years later. That was a wonderful gift that he gave to me that day. What he helped me do is he helped me realize that I've been working on the wrong things. And I needed to start working on the right things, which for me, in that season, was executive presence. It wasn't there. It was broken. And so I started a journey of working on that constraint. So what I did next, across the next couple of years, I didn't mention this, but I joined a peer leadership group, 16 other founders, business owners, and I needed help. I started talking with other people, and through that process of just getting peer coaching and talking with people about my business in a way that was really fresh and rewarding, caused our business to grow over the next couple of years. It was incredible. That friend who quit, we're still friends today. He gave me the gift of honesty. I'm not mad at him. He's not mad at me. I thanked him multiple times because that was one of the best things that ever actually happened to me. Many of you today are members in the arena. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining. A lot of you aren't. A lot of you are guests. And in case you're thinking, oh no, here comes the pitch, I'm not going to pitch you. If you want to join the arena, you can. But instead, I want to give you something. Today, I want to give you a gift. And by the way, this is not just a gift for guests. This is actually a gift for all the members as well. So literally, everyone in the room, if you want it, this is for you. Today, every single person in this room is going to get 1 hour with me. Do I have all the answers? No. But I want to give you the gift of my time, which I think is one of the greatest gifts you can give people. I want to give you the gift of my time. 1 hour where we walk through the executive flow model, the operating system. We discuss the constraint that you identified today, and we actually build a plan for how to break that. I've literally helped dozens of founders, dozens of business owners break through every single one of these constraints. And so there's some pattern recognition that maybe just as a friend I can say, here you go. Right? Oh, you're stuck on tools? I have a template for that. Boom. You've never led a weekly tactical meeting? Man, I've done 1,000 of these. Here you go. Boom. Right? I can guarantee you whatever the constraint is that you're dealing with, I would love to help you work through that. So if it's not on the screen already, if you throw the QR code on the screen, I want to spend 1 hour working with you. And I also want to build a 90-day focus plan for you to solve for that constraint. If you're interested in that, scan the QR code. It will literally give you the opportunity just to enter your name, your email, so I can get in touch with you. And then right after that, it takes you right to my calendar. Literally, you can book the whole thing in 60 seconds, and I just want to get time with you because I'm not going to be able to get an hour with all of you today, but I'd love to do that. If you're like, Luke, I'm a member of the arena, we've talked about this stuff, we've worked on this before, I don't care, I want to spend more time with you. Let's spend an hour together. If you're close, I'll come do coffee with you. I'll go to the cinnamon roll shop, whatever. Let's spend time together and walk through this next constraint for this next season. So if you're a member in the room, again, thank you for showing up. I'm glad you're here. If you're a guest in the room, we have a lot of great stuff planned today. I'm so glad you're here. And I just wanted to say formally and officially, welcome to the arena.